Hey, what's up, Warner fam? Today, I'll be taking you through the horror found footage flick, Late Night with the Devil. Buckle up because spoilers are coming, so keep those eyes wide open and stay safe. The movie kicks off with a narrator explaining the rough, wild days of the early 1970s. Times were tough, and people found their escape with talk show host Jack Delroy and his eerie late-night show, Night Owls. Jack's show was all about weird, spooky guests, making it stand out from the other talk shows around. His wife, Madeleine, was always by his side until she tragically passed from lung cancer in 1976. After losing her, Jack's life took a dark turn, and his show began to sink in the ratings. Fast forward to Halloween night. A year later, Jack has one last plan to save his career and get his show back to its glory days. The narrator then tells us that what we're about to see is the last footage from that infamous Halloween episode, complete with behind-the-scenes action. This footage holds the truth about what went down that spooky night. What happens when a desperate host takes Halloween too far? Jack Delroy's last show promises strange guests and spooky surprises, but things quickly go wrong. Sometimes pushing boundaries can unlock real horrors you might not be ready for. Ready to dive in? Let's go. The show's theme for the night is all about the occult, and Jack promises the audience a lineup of spooky and thrilling guests. His first guest, a self-proclaimed psychic named Christo, is there to wow everyone with his mysterious powers. Christo starts with a cold reading where he tries to contact the spirit of a deceased loved one for someone in the audience. He boldly guesses the names of a man's late wife, but the names are wrong, and his guess falls flat. Trying to recover, Christo turns his attention to a mother and daughter in the audience. This time, he claims to connect with their son and brother who had tragically taken his own life. The mother and daughter confirm his story, leaving everyone in the room tense and on edge. Just as Christo seems to be finishing, he suddenly freezes, looking distracted. He mentions hearing a strange, piercing ringing in his ears. Then, he says a single name, Minnie. Christo asks if anyone in the room knows this name, but all he's met with is silence. Jack, sensing the awkwardness, quickly calls for a commercial break. During the break, we catch a glimpse of Jack in a quiet corner, talking to his producer, Leo Fisk. Jack explains that Minnie was actually a private nickname he had for his late wife, Madeleine, a name no one else would ever have known. Leo's face goes pale, and he warns Jack about the direction this show seems to be heading. He's clearly uneasy about how things are unfolding, especially with Christo acting so strange. Meanwhile, Christo sits off to the side, looking pale and shaken, like he's seen something terrifying. He's sweating and breathing hard, as though he's in a daze or battling something inside himself. Leo watches Christo with worry, sensing that tonight's show might spiral out of control in ways they didn't expect. The show returns, and Jack introduces the next guest, a former magician known as Carmichael the Conjurer. Once a master of illusions, Carmichael is now a firm skeptic, determined to prove that Christo's psychic act is just a collection of tricks and clever guesses. He explains to the audience that everything they're seeing tonight can be explained without any supernatural nonsense. Jack, however, defends Christo's abilities by telling the viewers that Minnie was, in fact, his private nickname for his wife. This admission sparks a tense argument between Christo and Carmichael, with the two men exchanging heated words. Just when things seem like they're about to boil over, Christo suddenly doubles over and begins vomiting a thick, dark bile across the stage. The audience gasps, and the set erupts into chaos as Christo is whisked away to the hospital. The show cuts to another commercial, but the crew is left frozen in horror, trying to process what they just witnessed. They can't shake the feeling that something sinister might actually be happening right before their eyes. Next up on the show are two very intriguing guests, June Ross Mitchell, a parapsychologist, and a brave 13-year-old girl named Lily. Lily is special because she's the only person who survived a terrible event at a satanic church where many people lost their lives. She seems small and fragile, but has a surprising story to tell. Lily shares that she has an imaginary friend named Mr. Wriggles, who sometimes appears to her, which catches the audience's attention. Carmichael, ever the skeptic, quickly jumps to conclusions and accuses them of being frauds. Feeling the tension in the air, Jack decides to give June a chance to prove herself. He suggests that she conduct a seance after the commercial break to communicate with the spirits. However, backstage, things take a dark turn. Jack receives the shocking news that Christo has sadly died at the hospital. This news hits him hard, and he quickly tells Leo to keep it a secret from everyone else. Jack knows that revealing this information could change everything about the show and the night's eerie atmosphere. The seance kicks off, and things quickly take a scary turn. As Mr. Wriggles takes over Lily's body, her face twists into something terrifying, and her skin looks almost demonic. Suddenly, her sweet voice transforms into a chilling, sinister tone that sends shivers down everyone's spines. The demon starts taunting Jack, suggesting that he and June once had a secret affair. It even hints that they have met before, saying, "By the tall trees, which leaves Jack looking confused and uneasy. As the tension builds, the electricity in the room starts to flicker and surge wildly, creating an eerie atmosphere. Lily begins to float off the ground, hovering in the air as if something powerful is holding her up. It's a sight that leaves the audience gasping in shock. Just when it seems like things are spiraling out of control, June quickly realizes they need to stop. With determination, she cuts off the connection and brings the seance to an abrupt end, leaving everyone shaken and in disbelief over what they just witnessed. After the next break, Carmichael throws down a challenge to Jack, daring him to prove that he can pull off some tricks to fool the audience too. To make his point, he calls on Jack's show partner, Gus McConnell, to join him for the demonstration. Carmichael pulls out a shiny pocket watch and begins to hypnotize Gus. As the audience watches in disbelief, it seems like Gus suddenly feels as if he has worms wriggling inside his body. In a shocking moment, he starts ripping open his stomach, desperately searching for the imagined creatures. Just when things couldn't get more intense, a huge worm bursts through the top of Gus's head, leaving the audience gasping and horrified. Then, with a quick snap of his fingers, Carmichael brings Gus back to reality. To everyone's surprise, Gus appears completely normal, looking around as if nothing ever happened. The crew then plays back the footage, revealing that Gus was simply tricked into believing he was filled with worms, showing how easily the mind can be fooled when someone is hypnotized. The audience is left stunned, wondering what is real and what is just a trick. Jack decides it's time to show the audience the replay of the seance footage, hoping to prove that all the strange events with Lily really did occur. As he plays it back, everyone is on the edge of their seats, watching carefully for anything unusual. Suddenly, there's a brief flash on the screen, and Jack slows the footage down frame by frame. As the images play, a terrifying sight emerges. The spirit of Madeline appears next to him, looking both sad and angry. Just when the audience thinks they can handle it, Lily transforms back into her demonic self. Her face twists again, and chaos erupts on set as she begins to tear the place apart. Gus's head twists a horrifying 180 degrees, making everyone scream in terror. Carmichael is consumed in flames, burned alive right before their eyes, while June and Leo meet equally gruesome fates. The studio audience, now in a panic, starts to run for their lives, pushing and shoving to escape the terrifying nightmare unfolding in front of them. The once lively show has turned into a scene of pure horror, and no one knows if they will make it out safely. Jack suddenly begins to experience terrifying visions, flashing through moments from past episodes of the show. As he watches, he realizes that these memories are revealing dark truths about his life. He is confronted with shocking evidence that links him to the very satanic church that Lily survived. The more he uncovers, the more he understands that his fame and success came at a terrible price. Madeline, his beloved wife, fell ill with cancer, even though she had never smoked a day in her life. Jack feels a wave of guilt wash over him, realizing how much pain his choices caused her. In a heartbreaking scene, Jack finds himself lying in bed beside a dying Madeline. She looks weak and frail, her voice trembling as she begs him to help end her suffering. "Please put me out of my misery," she whispers, her eyes filled with both love and sadness. Jack glances at the nightstand and sees a dagger lying there. In a moment of desperation and confusion, he picks it up and drives it into Madeline's stomach, hoping to free her from her pain. The room is filled with silence, and Jack is left to grapple with the horrifying reality of his actions. Suddenly, Jack snaps out of his terrifying visions and realizes the awful truth. He has actually stabbed and killed Lily. His heart races as he looks around the set, which now feels like a nightmare. The place is in chaos, with destruction everywhere and the other guests gone. As the sound of police sirens grows louder, Jack stands frozen in shock, unable to comprehend what has just happened. His mind races with confusion and horror, and he keeps repeating the phrase, "Dreamers stay awake." It echoes in his ears like a haunting reminder of everything that has gone wrong. The reality of the massacre around him sinks in, leaving him feeling trapped in a nightmare he can't escape. All he can do is wait for the sirens to reach him, knowing he'll have to face the consequences of this terrible night. Which movie should we recap next? Drop your suggestions in the comments below, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more movie recaps. Thanks for watching, produced by Warner Talks.